Okay, good to see you all again. Last week I did a demonstration on 2-point perspective, so I'm going to do a very quick recap on that for anybody that, I think most people got this pretty well, but one or two isn't quite there. And having practiced it a couple of times in the week, I realised I could probably get better at it. So the basic idea, just a quick recap, is that if you've got, if you're trying to draw a building, or it could be a cube or a table or anything like that, basically the bits that are closer to you are going to be a lot longer or bigger. So this edge is closer to me than this edge, so that would appear longer, which then means that to get from here to here, all these are going to be at angles. So if you carry these lines on, these carry on to what you call the vanishing point. So you'd have one over here for this side, and then one over here for this side. And the vanishing points are always on your eye level. So if I'm out sketching, that's where the vanishing points will come to. Or if you're working with a photograph, you can look at where things are horizontal on the photograph. So it could be that maybe there's a window bar up here or something like that, or on top of a door, maybe something like that. You could have a door like that there, and that where it's horizontal. Or if you've got something like maybe those sort of shiplap boards you get on some buildings that might come horizontal here, and then you might find that they carry on that side. And then below the eye level, they'll start going the other way. So try and think of that as like these angles fanning out. If you just think about a fan and all the different sort of splines on a fan, that would be what you're aiming for. There are a few of these straight edges if you wanted to try and construct a drawing like this. And obviously it works better on a big bit of paper than if you've got a board or something like that. Or you could do a smaller version on something like that. But if you want to do that, that's quite a nice exercise. There we go. So this one or two people, I know Tom's having a go at this one. This particular picture works quite well for that exercise. So if you want to have a go at that, so 2-point perspective drawing exercise, that's quite a good one. Okay. Also, yeah, so that's that. What I wanted to go on to today was drawing with pens and maybe a little bit of watercolour wash, so what they call line and wash, and extend that to more of a street scene. And I thought I will cover charcoal at some point. I just need to do this up in case of trip. So I'll do some charcoal next week, but I thought I'd do what I find easiest really first, which is really just drawing with fine liner pens and felt pens. So I brought a couple of my sketchbooks in. These are the sort of things that I do when I'm out and about. Put that one there, or just down there. You could use watercolours, and it is a matter of personal preference really. I've got this book here that's worth having a look at, Urban Sketching. So this is all about just going out and drawing from life. And it's a collection of artist work from all over the world. And urban sketching is like a kind of movement. You can go and join urban sketching groups all over the country, all over the world. There's certainly one in London that meets up each month. And you find that a lot of artists tend to use pens and maybe a little bit of watercolour, perhaps, or just tonal pens, things like that. As I say, I tend to like to just use grey pens, and sometimes I'll do I'll use these tone sketchbooks and then perhaps draw a little bit of white in with a little bit of white chalk. So I thought I'd use that as a thing for today. I'll show you what I use to start with, but it may not show up that well on here, so I might go over to watercolour and something. Look, just get rid of this one. So with the pens, so I use this one is I think it's 0.3. So I don't know if you can you see that from where you are? You can, right. Sit at the back, that's good. So I might draw with something a bit bigger because it seems a bit too tiny, but that's basically what I sketched with in the sketchbook, sort of 0.3. Sometimes I've had like 0.5 pens, but I just quite like the 0.3 because they just seem a nice weight of line to sketch with. They're not too thick and not too thin. These are what they call a waterproof, fade-proof ink. So if you're drawing something like this, once you've got your line down, it's not going to shift, it's going to be there. And I'll just use this image. I thought I'd use this one because it's a little bit bigger. It's really like the middle section of that one. And this was South Walden. The sketch I did down there. And I sort of did that because I quite fancy painting there, but I wasn't sure if there'd be enough space, how long it would take me. So I thought, I'll just do a little sketch to start with. So yeah, I use these to start with, and then I use these. These are called Tombow pens. So these are basically 3 grey pens. They're nearly £4 each, and they're what they call a brush pen. So I can make a nice thick mark like that. The other end, I very rarely use the other end, but that gives you a fine line if you wanted that. And I like to use 3 shades of grey, and that way, this one's all, although it's grey, it looks black really. So
Sorry, Paul, are they watercolour pens? Or are they...
They're sort of, yeah, they're water soluble really. Yeah. Whereas this is like if I make that mark, that will dry, that will be permanent. Yeah, just put a bit of water. You know, I can put water over these, and these will kind of bleed and disappear. So that's, yeah, you could do that with them if you wanted to. Whereas this will, I'll just use a bit of the grey over the top of that. Those marks are going to stay put. So some people like to draw with a pen that does dissolve, so that you draw some lines and then they'll bleed into the tonal bits. You're right.
Frozen. I got out there and then someone phoned me.
Oh, so you could use a water soluble pen if you like lines just sort of bleeding and disappearing. I just like these work for me. So yeah, if I was going to draw this sort of scene, I just draw a little bit of this. I'm not going to bother with the people because we could tackle people a little bit later on. So just the buildings really. So quite often I start with something like a window like that. I don't often draw like a whole outline of a building. I tend to start more or less in the middle and work my way out. So if I was drawing that scene, I might just start, I'll do it very roughly, but perhaps start something like that, and then we've got another little bit of window underneath that's open. And it's actually much harder for me to draw this on an easel than it is to be sketchbook like this. So they would carry on like that. And this is rougher than I would normally, I'd try and make my lines a little bit straighter. So I draw that bit and then perhaps draw the outside of the window frame, like that. And then maybe work out, now with being pen, I can't rub them out. So I need to sort of draw pretty much everything as I see it. So I could then think, well, how much room till we get to this sign for that? So maybe go over there for that, and that's coming out here. And that says Marketplace, so if I want to draw that in, I need to do that. I'm doing that. C-A-L-E. I'm actually sort of kind of doing it backwards because that will hopefully get the spacing in. So yeah, then I can end that. And then that edge there, I can then put that in there. All this bunting would be worth putting in before I start drawing this bit here, although I could probably just guess that, couldn't I? Yeah, I think the guttering level would be about there, so I've got room to then put the guttering level in. So it's kind of drawing inside out from the image. So I find it quite a nice way to work. And next is pretty much how I drew the one on the brown paper, and then kind of working my way up to the roof. can start kind of working through the tiles. And being a sketch, you don't need to use rulers. You want it. I mean, I like them to look, you know, as straight as I can, but I still like them to look like a sketch. I like them to look like a drawing. I'm not, you know, trying to replicate photo. So that's that bit. And then to work this bit here, this really complicated bit. What would I do here? I tend to sort of see, well, I can see a little bit of roof there, and that's just below that side. So I can think, well, that can go in there. And then we've got a chimney, and I basically just work my way across. So I've got this chimney here, pop that in there. It goes up to there, and then there's another chimney partly obscuring it. Now this other chimney is just below the guttering level of that one. So just pop that in. So I'm not actually constructing any of those vanishing points or anything like that. I'm just basically looking at where things line up and then judging angles. So that could be that bit. A little bit of an angle there. So that's on this one here, coming down there. And then it changes direction, goes that way. This chimney's that wide. The chimney pots come above that level, so actually probably need to come up a tiny bit higher, but I'll just take the chimney pots up higher. Come up like that. That ridge there of the roof. Now I know, because of what we did last week, I know that that won't be horizontal, that'll be a little bit of an angle. It's going away from me. So that is going to be something like that. And then down the side of that chimney stack comes down to there, so I can complete that bit there. Then we've got this end of the building there. That's coming down like that. There's a little window in here. So it's basically, it's a bit like being a kind of human scanner, just kind of gradually going around through the image or around, and then just drawing everything that I can see in that area before I go too much further. So that could be that. Is that a dormer window, do they call them? A window in there. And then we've got another chimney here. I won't do the whole thing, but hopefully you get the idea. It's basically working from the distance and working back. So if I was doing a whole street scene, if there was like a church at the end of the street, I might draw the church in, then gradually work out and draw either side. So that's that bit. You can then, I mean, the great advantage of these are I don't have to carry water around, they're not going to smudge. I don't often have, I usually just stand there with my sketchbook or sit down on a park bench or something like that. I can very quickly do this, get any tones in while I'm standing there, and I can hold a few pens in one hand and a sketchbook in the other, so it's not like loads to carry. So that's the advantage of that. If you wanted to work watercolours could be quite nice. I've just got a little bit of colour and tone in. And quite often it can work quite nicely, just keeping the paint sort of fairly loose, not having it too precise, and really the line is doing a lot of the work. So I've got a friend who just literally just throws a bit of paint at it. You leave the white bits that you want white. These window openings, I want to make it too black, because although it's dark, it's not completely black. Just maybe a little bit of brown, a little bit of blue, get some sort of grey. Just very quickly pop some of those in. Something for you, it's probably in the right colour. You can see it very quickly starts to, as soon as you get a little bit of colour and tone, there's some reddy browns in there on the roofs. Yeah, a little bit of red in here. That's a bit redder. Yeah, you can see you can very quickly kind of create a sort of fairly lively sketch. So thought I'd put that out there as a way of working, very enjoyable way to work. If you are somebody that fancies coming out sketching later in the year, when I do 1 or 2 plein air sessions, this is quite a good practice. Try all your mediums out in the studio before you go out. Any questions? Yep.
Where would be the vanishing point in that picture? Would that be the little man standing there, or?
Let's see, it's probably, well, this roof, yeah, it's probably about over here, I think. What I'd have to do is sort of you line up the bottom of the road there with one of these roof lines. Yeah, I think it's around about here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, I was standing over the other side of the street, and it was a fairly flat street. I don't remember it going up in a hill, so I think my eye level's probably similar to these people's eye level. Because I was, you know, it's a flat area. So, and just looking at where these carry on, there are, you know, there's a bit of an angle there, but it's quite a gentle angle. It might even be over here somewhere. But you could find it, particularly if you lined up things like that bit and maybe that bit, this bit here, these bits here, they will take you to a vanishing point somewhere. But really what I tend to do is just slightly angle, look at the angle, and then just move that over. And one thing you can do to see angles is really literally just put your pencil on there and then carry that over. Or otherwise, you could do, you know, say it's that one, you could just do that and then just do that. And I think that's where that's got to go. Very easy. Perfect angles every time. Well, good.